All right, guys, welcome back. Here we are, November 4th, end of week 9. So, we're going to dive into the review. Last week, getting started, I heard a little bit of noise about how everything looked. So, got a whole new revamped system for you. I'm excited to debut it here today in the week 9 review. Stay tuned. We're going to dive into all the nitty gritty, all the stats, all the trends, all the information. But I'm excited to go through that with y'all. So let's get to it.
All right, boys. I'm excited to show y'all what I came up with. But so start off, I created a league logo, subject to change, of course. But currently, the league branding is going to be navy and silver, of course, with black raw. So let's dive into it. I'm excited to show y'all. Bow, black raw fantasy football. I think it looks great. Uh, Navy silver with a white backdrop. Um, really incorporated that into the view for this upcoming for the website I created over these past couple days. Yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the website. Um, Boom, here we are. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful? So here we are on the recap page. This is going to tell us the highlights, the head-to-head recaps, and then the top performers in every position and whose team they're on and the points they scored. Yada yada yada. Starting off, we have from the highlights highest what was it? Highest points. It was yours truly, Caleb's Casting Couch with 183.3. Dog, what's going on? I don't know. Then we got the biggest blowout was Never Jamar Chase a Ho, 153.94 over 50 Shades of Brown, 115 point, what was it? Point 0.8, yeah. And then we go to the closest matchup, which was Wad Squad getting upset by Chef Seth out of nowhere, 124.76 to 129.9. Crazy. Only a 5 point differential compared to the biggest blowout, which was a 38 point differential. Crazy. All right. So now we look at this head-to-head recap right here. We have Caleb's Casting Couch, of course, me, took down Hit the Saquon 183.3 to 151.02. Really high-scoring match. That brings Caleb's Casting Couch to 2-7 on the year. Hit the Saquon to 4-5. And then we have Wad Squad, who fell to Chef Seth. Shocker. Now Wad Squad is 7-2, and Chef Seth is 4-5. And then Ibero and DD Cups with 180-point performance over Team Dykurian, who put up 163, which is shocking. Some really high-scoring games this season or this week. And then we have Make America Great Again, who put up 114 to take down Trust Fund QBs. And then we have Never Jamar Chase with a 153-point performance to take down 50 Shades of Brown. So really good week all around. Lots of high-scoring matches. So a low of 100, which wasn't even that low, honestly. So really good start to the week, and starting to see things, get going, and everybody's getting in their run, and seeing some points be scored. But if we look at the top by position over here at QB, we have Caleb Williams, who put up 38.7. He's on Caleb's Casting Couch, of course. Then Josh Allen and Justin Herbert with 28.8 and 27.7. And then at running back, we have Ibero and DD Cups, who had Christian McCaffrey with 34.3. And then we have Kyle Mononga with 22.8 and Josh Jacobs with 20. Then at wide receiver, we have Drake London, who put up 38.8. He's also on Caleb's Casting Couch. And then we have T. Higgins and Devontae Adams, who put up 33.1 and 23.0. And those were both on Never Jamar Chase the Ho, which is crazy. And then we go to tight end with the highest scoring performance from a player this season, back off injury, Brock Bowers, 43.3 points, unheard of. Colston Loveland really starting to find his groove, put up 29.8 for Team Dygurian, and then Sam Laporta with 21.7. At kicker, we had 16 points, 12 points, and 11 points from Cam Little on Trust Fund QBs, Michael Bagley, and Cameron Dicker. And then at defense, the Steelers with a masterclass. I really feel like they should have probably got more points. But Steelers put up 20.5 for Hit the Saquon. And then the Rams put up 14 and the Seahawks put up 10. So crazy week overall. We'll look at the standings and see where that brings us there. Um, so yeah, let's go look at the standings. So over here we have oh well, this is I guess is the next page, the overview page. We have the team stats on the left hand side here, and then we have the power rankings over here on the right. So if we look at team stats, the rankings fall as Ibero and DD Cups, Wad Squad, Make America Great Again, 50 Shades of Brown, Never Jamar Chaseho, Hit the Saquon, Team Dagirin, Trust Fund QBs, Chef Seth, and Caleb's Casting Couch. That is the current standings based on win percentage and then points for. So we now have a new highest points person. It is Ibero and DD Cups. This is crazy because just last week we thought Watt Squad was going to kind of pull himself away and break away, but now things are back level with two teams tied at 7-2. So yeah, that's crazy. We also had a couple best weeks. I'm pretty sure. Let's see if we look at the recap. Did James I believe set his new best week. Yeah, 181.2. I set my new best week with 183.3. Not Trust Fund QBs. Team Dagurin set their new best week and hit the Saquon. Did he also hit his? No, he nearly set his new best week. But really high scoring games all around. And that takes us to our power rankings. What we have over here is power rankings for 1, 2, and 3, and then we have the 4 following. We also, if you see these little chips, we have the points for per game. So how many points they're averaging a game, how many points their defense is giving up a game, and their current average differential, point differential. So, and then also to the right of the record right here, we have a W1 or L1, that is for your win streak or loss streak. And as you can see with Never Jamar Chase, so he is heating up. He is on a 2-game win streak, and so is Make America Great Again. Trust Fund QBs is unfortunately on a 3-game losing streak, with Team Dagirin on a 2-game losing streak as well. But Caleb's Casting Couch finally breaks his, 5-game losing streak. It was terrible with finally getting a win. So that's good to hear. But yeah, the rankings, power rankings fall now with Ibero and DD Cups in first, Wad Squad second, 50 Shades of Brown third, and then we have Never Jamar Chaseho, Hit the Saquon, Make America Great Again, Trust Fund QBs, Team Dagirin, Caleb's Casting Couch, and Chef Seth. So some things I want to point out on here, the average point differential to me that I find the craziest is Wad Squad. He has 16.9, so his offense is just dominating his defense, which is really crazy to see. Or I guess dominating the other team's defense, which is really crazy to see, considering we have no control over that. I guess JWA's got some luck on his hands or on his side. But if we want to look at something else, I think is odd, or I guess substantial to point out, we have Trust Fund QBs 4 and 5 here with a positive average point differential, but unfortunately is on a 3-game losing streak and has fallen down the ranks a little bit, which is crazy because just considering things and how he started out 4-2, and things were looking good for him, and unfortunately things have taken a turn for the worse for him. But yeah, this is the overview page, so I hope this is all that you expected. But this is basically all the details when it comes to last week. But what we're going to do now is we're going to dive into some of the activity that happened over the past week, which there honestly wasn't much. Some people got picked up off the waiver. There were some more waiver things that happened, but nothing crazy. But what we have here on activity also is the team injury overview. So we can look at every team here and see how many injuries they currently have, and the status of that injury, if they're IR, out, questionable, things like that. So, for example, if we look at my team, I have Brock Purdy, Quinshon Judkins, and Ricky Pearsall. All 3 of them are labeled as out right now. Excuse me. So, my team right now, I'm pretty healthy. I think I'm the second healthiest behind Wad Squad, who only has 2 injuries, which is Braylon Allen and Luther Burton. Both are non-factors for him. And then we look at the most injured team. We have Chef Seth down here, who has Hassan Haskins, Mike Evans, Omarion Hampton, Trey Benson, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, and Joe Mixon. All 4 of those on IR, 1 of them's out, and 2 on PUP. So really unfortunate scenes for him. So that's probably a little more behind the scenes of why his situation isn't going as well as it could be going. But yeah, he still sits at 4-5, I believe. But yeah, he's still sitting at 4-5. He was able to get the win this week, so he's been able to fight through despite his injuries. Something else I think is actually really crazy is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that are 4-5. What is going on? There is a lot of parity around the league right now. Of course, we have those 2 sitting up at the top at 7-2. But outside of them, everybody is basically in the same range. It seems like. Of course, outside of me, who is at 2-7, everybody else is fairly competitive, all right in the same range. So it's going to be really exciting to see what the playoff picture looks like, and how that will plan out over these next couple weeks as we come. Just finished week 9 and going to week 10. So playoffs do start on week 15, I believe. So it's week 15, 16, 17. So that'll be really exciting to see how this playoff picture shapes out. But yeah, so now we're going to look at some of these graphs, and basically it's just the stats and where teams are falling right now throughout the season. So if we look over here at points for, and this scatter plot of points for versus points against, Chef Seth still in the bottom tier, and he has a really good defense, really bad offense currently. So he has the best defense along with trust fund QBs, Never Jamar, Chase Ho. Those are fairly close in defense, which only 1 point and then 2 points. So there's 3 points separating the 3. I'm sorry. And then we also have Make America Great Again, who's also got a pretty good defense so far this season. Now, if we look at some of the top scorers, we have Wad Squad up here with 1,321 points. Albaro and DD Cups with 1,326, and then 50 Shades of Brown with 1,324. 5 points separating those 3, really neck and neck. But the main difference between these 3 is their defense. Wad Squad with a better defense out of the 3, so he's been able to be 7-2. Albaro and DD Cups has the middle defense out of the 3, but he's still been able to win games and fight and end up 7-2. We have 50 Shades of Brown, who's somewhat on the opposite end of the spectrum. He's 4-5, I believe, at this point. 4-5. So it's been kind of tough for him. But as long as his offense keeps performing as they have been, things will start to look better for him. But if we look, something I find, I guess there's just this middle area. This whole middle area right here is a distinction of all the teams that are basically 4-5. So right here, I think it's all these teams. All of these teams are 4-5. So I think that's crazy. Oh wait, actually there is, who is it? Make America Great Again. This one, shockingly below the average trend line, is 5-4. So he's the only one out of this that is not on par with the rest of the 4-5s, which consist of these, who Never Jamar, Chase the Ho, Trust Fund QBs, Hit the Saquon, Team Dagirin, and 50 Shades of Brown. So it's kind of just crazy to see how things have panned out. But now if let's zoom in over here I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to work this jump, man. Let's look at this week 9 portion. So what we saw some really high scoring games. The league average for this week was 141, which I believe is our highest average to this point. If I remember correctly, it's by a long ways. 131, 134, 125, 134, 134. Yeah, so we just blew our league average out of the water by, what was that, nearly 7 points. It was really high scoring game with Caleb's Casting Couch and Ibero and DD Cups up there at the top with the 2 highest scoring. Then our lowest scoring was 100. So that's also our highest low on a week, I believe. nearly. Wait, actually, it might have been. No, it was close. We had a low of our lowest. Excuse me. Our highest low week was, I believe, what's this 119. So pretty close there. Pretty high scoring all around. So it's just really exciting to see everybody starting to score and put up points. And then if we look at our score distribution graph, what we have is from the left to the right. Each team, of course, 50 Shades of Brown with nearly the highest box portion, just because he's consistently scoring that high um, on a consistent basis. And then we have our Exciting Wad Squad, who hasn't really had an amazing high as we've seen some teams have, but his minimum has been upon the highest of the minimum. So that's just really been what's keeping him up there at 7-2. He doesn't have he has a high floor, and then I burn DD Cubs with a very high or max, I mean, and then a fairly high minimum as well. But something like if we look at these long box and whisker plots right here, we have me, Chaos Casting Couch, with a low of 176 and then a max of over 100 points more than my minimum. That's crazy. I don't know what to say about my team. Um, they're all over the place. I need to have some talks in the locker room to get things sorted out. Um, but then we have this really tight, uh, concise graph right here. Make America Great Again. You see this? Really tight and just pressed in. It's because he's really consistent. He has the lowest standard deviation, and in doing so, he's also has a very high minimum. I guess sorry, medium tier high minimum. But he does not have a high max. He's only had a max of 139 points up to this point, which isn't really that great. So we'll see. I mean, he's 5-4. It's been able to work out for him for the majority of the time, get him some wins, and see how things are panning out. But so right here, I also have a radar comparison graph, but I'm gonna dive into the matchups for next week, and I'll utilize the matchups for next week alongside this radar comparison graph, so that we can take a look at the teams that'll be going up against each other. So currently, this was the past week, so I guess like we saw 183.3. We saw big outburst from QB and wide receiver, and the rest were fairly normal. Whereas, as you can see, the majority of the spots, Quentin's team actually outscored mine. But because of my two high, super high highs, um, he was able to get the edge. I'm not sure what's going on right here. I'll take a look at that. It's supposed to be green if it's higher, so I'm not really sure what's happening right there. So disregard that. But yeah, if we look at some of these games, for the most part, the logic worked. But if it didn't, then just disregard it. Uh, and so yeah, like I said, some really high scoring games all around. And trust fund QBs unfortunately had a goose egg from Odunze. Yeah, that's no good. But all right, so now if we dive into week 10, we can see I have projections here. Of course, this isn't um, fully accurate. There are some like people who haven't updated their rosters for the next week, or for example, in my logic, I don't have defensive projections incorporated yet. So right now, next week, it looks like Caleb Caston Couch is going up against Trust Fund QBs. So if we see here, it looks like Caleb Caston Couch has the edge, but he has somebody on bye still out there, and then defense is not incorporated, and this is a pretty low pointing for Son of a Knight, so that something might change up there. But if we go back to the graphs and look at Caleb's Casting Couch versus Trust Fund QBs, we have Trust Fund QBs in the green, and he is dominating, pretty much dominating me, Caleb's Casting Couch, in points of scoring, or in all terms, really. So the further out on this radar graph, the better it is. So his points allowed, he has a really good defense. I have unfortunately given up less points, or I guess fortunately given up less points than him to this point in the season. He has a better standard deviation. Mine is all over the place because, like I said, there's a 100 point gap between my max and my min. I currently have a higher average points than him, but he has a higher floor than me. So it's interesting to see how things are going to pan out. We have projected Y squad for 141 without his defense. Crazy things might change, of course, and some of the logic is uh, being worked with. But then we have Never Jamar Chase-Aho, who's projected 108. So it'll be exciting to see how this pans out because Never Jamar Chase-Aho has been on a really good run lately and been putting up pretty high points. So I'm excited to see this matchup as as we go into the next week and see who ends up scoring, outscoring one another. And then we have Hit the Saquon and Team Dagirin. Both of these are 4-5. Um, excuse me. Another situation where there's parity. Both teams, like I said, 4-5. We'll get to see one of them break apart, and one of them go to 5-5, and one of them go to 4-6. And this will just help work out that playoff picture. But right now, we don't have a calculation for the kicker. Like I said, bear with me. But it looks like Hither Saquon is going to be taking the edge with some big performances from Puka Nakua and Jordan Love, Saquon Barkley. So this will be another exciting game to watch or keep up with. And then we have Make America Great Again versus 50 Shades of Brown. We have our fourth place person going up against our third place in the power rankings. So this is a primetime match right here. So everybody make sure you watching, keeping up with this one. He currently doesn't have anybody in a spot, and then Bernie has somebody who is on a bye week. So, or two dudes on a bye week. So we'll see where what he's able to do there to make up for some points that he'll be missing out on because those are two big time components in his offense. And so I'm excited to see what Bernie can work out to make this happen and make this a good contest. And then lastly, we have Ibero and DD Coates versus Chef Seth, who is coming in off a big win against the recent number one team. So this will be excited to see as the current number one overall is coming in against Chef Seth, who is currently power ranked 10th. So this will be a fun watch. I'm sure there'll be some lineup changes. Of course, he has Dak, who's a big component of his offense, who's on a bye week, and then Kareem Hunt, I believe, is also on a bye week, or he's hurt, something along those lines. So yeah, we're excited to see how these things shape out, and look at what's going to happen over the next couple or next week and how this playoff picture continues to unfold. All right, the last aspect I would like to show y'all of the website is the awards section. So what we have here is we have some league awards looking at individual player performances to individual team performances to league performances, I guess, overall. So starting off, we have high single week, which was actually set just this week for the third time in a row. We now have a new high single week, so I just set that at 183.3. We have a lowest single week. Team Dagirin with in week 6 put up 67.8. The longest win streak we have right now is Ibero and DD Cups, who went on a 4-game win streak, which is pretty great. And then we have a longest losing streak, which was Caleb's Casting Couch. 5 games in a row, I lost. Unfortunate. And then we have the most consistent team, which has been Bernie with Make America Great Again, with 9.3 points of deviation over each over the whole season so far, which has been great. And then we have a highest individual player performance. So this was also set this week with Brock Bowers putting up 43.3 points. Unheard of, crazy. I think the closest that's like by 4 points he set the new high. So that's crazy. Awesome to see. But yeah, this is the new league dashboard. I'm actually really excited about it, really proud of it. I hope y'all liked it. But what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take a look at some of the, I guess, injury reports. See if there's anything that is standing out that could possibly shake up some of the teams. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, here we are with some fantasy football injury updates. Starting off, CJ Stroud, who suffered a concussion in the Texans' 18-15 loss. So it looks like he will probably be out next week, considering what the uh, Texans did a couple weeks ago with Nico Collins, who got a concussion. He sat out the week after, so it seems like they might be on the trend to just kind of take that extra week of precaution, make sure everything's good. So it looks like it'll be backup Davis Mills coming in for him, and then Aaron Rodgers. This is more of a, I guess, a non-report. It says before the game he was dealing with a hand injury, but everything was fine. He played the game. Didn't seem like there was any problems, and they got the win. Jaden Daniels, absurd decision to keep him in the game. But yeah, he is a brutal injury, it says. Unfortunately, it looks like he will be out for the rest of the season. Um, so yeah, it'll be Marcus Mariota back behind the center, and leading the Commanders. It's not going to go well. It hasn't been going well. And then at running back, let's see what it says here. Aaron Jones hurt again with a shoulder injury. Um, so uh, this will be something to look at for me specifically. I have Jordan Mason, um, so maybe that'll change things up. Samaje Perine for the Bengals suffered a leg injury, and which is, it stinks for him because he was getting an uptick in carries and things are starting to look better for him. But if he is out, then Chase Brown stocks will go up. Wide receiver Matthew Golden left early with a shoulder injury. He's not super fantasy team relevant. Kayshawn Booty, um, he caught 4 touchdowns over his last 3 games. He left this week early with a hamstring injury. That's unfortunate. Yeah, there's not much to know now, but we'll keep an eye out for updates. Terry McLaurin says he'll also miss week 10 with a quad injury, so he's still out. Travis Hunter has been placed on IR, so what's that, 3 more weeks at least. Um, Unfortunate for that. But they just got Jacoby Myers, so I guess he'll be kind of filling in for him in the meantime. Puka also somewhat got hurt again. Um, he came out and set out the second half, or I guess second portion of the game. Um, but apparently it was a not a big deal. He could have came back in and played, but they just would rather had take it safe. So makes sense, um, and that's a sigh of relief for Quentin. But if we go to tight end, Cole Kmet um, suffered a concussion, so he'll at least miss, or most likely miss next week as well. And this is big for Colston Loveland owners. So shout out to him. Tucker Craft, though, unfortunately, is feared to have torn his ACL. That's terrible news. He has been balling out recently, so that one's gonna hurt Kenny right there, who was really doing his thing and helping him out. So that looks like all for the injury report. Um, but yeah, man,